I came into metal thinking it was aggressive, gate kept for the most part, and basically hard to get into. But I think what shocked me about it most wasn't the music necessarily; it was the fans. Metal fans might be some of the most loyal fans in all of music. I know that sounds wild, but it may be true. So I asked this question: like, why do metal fans rise so hard for their bands? And I'm talking decades later. I want to talk about that, and I think I know why. Let's get into it. Hello, my good peoples. This is Lucky Reacts. I'm your host. You guessed it, Lucky. Metal has always been like outside of mainstream culture, right? Like not a part of so-called popular, which has been cool, right? When it's like Black Sabbath. When you first heard Black Sabbath, right? Or Iron Maiden, with the cinematics and the theatrical sound. It wasn't a part of everything that's going on, which made it intriguing to some, even few at the time, maybe. See, it wasn't always mainstream, which made it cool. It was the few who bonded over this type of sound, this type of look, this type of culture, right? What happened was is that as a young adult or as a young man or as a young fan, I found something intriguing, something new, and something familiar to something I knew, but it was going somewhere else, and I can tell that. One thing that hit me right off the back was the community, was the fans, right? I remember doing a reaction video to Tool for the first time. Now, I only picked Tool because, first of all, I didn't know who Tool was. And I did a first reaction video, and people flooded my comments, right, with you should do Tool. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but okay, cool. So I went to Tool, I Googled Tool, and the first song was on top of the list was the song called The Pot. I did that reaction and boom, my YouTube blew up. Right. And I don't mean blew up in the millions of followers. I just mean like heavy, active interactions going on immediately. Right. And like I watched my follow my subscribers jump from almost I started at like one, maybe 1,500 to like 4 or 5,000 in like 30 days just by doing these type of groups, which I found out the community kind of straddles around, right? So when I did Tool, the army showed up, which I didn't even know Tool had an army. I'm finding out this thing about the loyalty and the dedication to some of these bands that are different from what I know hip hop to be. Not to compare like what's better or not. It's just a little different, right? Bands like Tool. When I first did Iron Maiden, the community, the way they rally up and surround around these groups is different. And I'm talking about Iron Maiden been rocking out since what, the 70s? And I mean, you would think they're a new group the way the fans rally around them so much. These are armies at this point, right? And it just showed. Hell, you want to get newer to that, Slipknot. When I talked about Slipknot, I did a video of Eloy Casagrande, and the Slipknot army came out the woodworks. And I'm talking about incredible interaction, fans, army shit. Like I thought it was so cool. And it kind of solidified, like, wait a minute, this is different. It's not just the music, right? The music is one part of it. But when you start dressing, there's a slang, there's terms, spiral out and irons up, and all these terms for certain groups and certain times and eras. It's a culture being made. There's a culture that was created. So it's deeper than just the song you heard. It's I do a reaction video and the fans are giving me the whole history of why I should have did this video, or I should have did this video, or why I should have did the lyric video, or the band members that changed in and out, or oh, that lead singer was better than this one, or when they changed from this drummer to that drummer. It's a culture going on. You kind of get engulfed in it as you breeze through. You realize quickly on that these aren't your average fans. These fans are in it for life. Metal fans, they don't jump ship. I thought that was really dope. right? Like Metallica right now is still selling out arenas. Like how real is that? Iron Maiden is still selling out tours. It's like Tool are still selling out shows. I'm talking about dedicated. People in my comments like, yo, I'm a 65-year-old dude from such and such, and I remember my first Metallica concert in 19 something, and to see your video, boom. Or I'm an 80-year-old woman from such and such, and I just went to my last Megadeth concert at such and such, and I'm like, what? That's so dope. It's so crazy. It's so dope. You know, it really shows that metal isn't like trend driven, right? And I'm talking about the true sport of metal, right? The true culture of metal. It ain't about the trends, and you'll get clowned in that. But I don't mean like metal fans are still loving and warm, but they're not with selling out of at all either. And I learned that from doing a reaction video of a certain group, which I won't name, right? They'll tell you when somebody sold out, which is funny. But what's cool about metal fans is they grow with the band, right? And I'm learning this by meeting the people and talking to the community. You know, when I do a reaction video on somebody, they give me a whole backstory about the history, what group members changed, and on what album who was playing lead, and how this artist got sick and he probably passed away, and they had to bring in somebody, and then the band shifted, the music shifted a little bit because the writer left or whatever the case may be. It's like dedicated, and they're growing with you. They're growing with it's like they know everything about the band. They even in the comments agreeing. Oh yeah, that did happen. I remember when such and such, and I'm like, yo, you start to feel like I'm the only one who don't know. And I remember there was a young lady who emailed me about and I gotta return the message to her too. She was a sweetheart. She emailed me about something she wanted me to react to, a book, which I thought was cool. It was different, and I thought it was cool. And I got to respond to her also, but she told me about how much of a fan of a band she is. I don't remember the band off top, but she was showing me how she went to her first concert. She was telling me about how she went to her first concert years ago, and then showed a recent picture, I think up to a year or a couple of years ago, where she had brought her son to that same concert. I think it was an Iron Maiden concert, if I'm not mistaken. And she ended up bringing her son to the concert. So it was a full circle moment. So it's like the loyalty and the dedication that the fan has. They're even bringing family through. They're growing up. It's generational at this point, right? How you don't have a house full of Iron Maiden fans doing stuff like that, right? That's super cool, and a dedication that you don't find everywhere. It's like that in sports, but not like other genres of music. Not like, in my opinion, it's not. It's not. And albums are still celebrated decades later. It's not old to anyone, right? When you bring up these like peak albums, like even finding music, I listen to a band and they'll tell me like, yo, you need to listen to this album. You know what I mean? I did one Metallica song. They're like, yo, you gotta listen to Ride the Lightning. You gotta listen to Master of Puppets. I'm talking about like, they're telling me it's peak Metallica, right? Or you gotta hear the Sad Wings album from Judas Priest, or you gotta hear 10,000 Days, or gotta hear, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yo, y'all still caping for these albums. Some of these albums are super old, but old doesn't mean outdated. It's classic, incredible music. It's incredible now like it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I think that's super cool that that's why the groups and the bands can tour today, damn near can't even walk. You know what I mean? The fans are still showing up. The songs are still incredible. And I think that's a super dope thing. It's very rare. You don't find like rap shows like that where everybody's in their 60s doing, nah, that's not a thing. It's not a thing, you know. And like I said, I'm only comparing not to tear down. I'm just saying hip hop is where I come from. So I'm finding all of this on the metal side fascinating. And I love that it's a thing. And I love that I'm so new in a genre that's been here for years and people don't make me feel like I'm late to the party. Because it's a community that make you feel like whenever you show up, you are on time. That's pretty freaking dope. I did expect gatekeeping, right? I expected being laughed out the building. What's funny was I received encouragement. Instead of laughing me out the building, the fans corrected me in my mistakes. Whether I had a group wrong or maybe a band member's name I probably mispronounced or something, it was cool. They were so happy that I was just learning about it. They were all in. And that felt different. Hip hop is very different in a way, right? They'll clown you for that. You don't know somebody's name. If you miss one count of Wu-Tang Clan members, if you say 8 instead of 9 instead of whatever, stuff like that, you'll get clowned. If you mess up a song name or you attach that song to another group, they laugh you out the building. I didn't feel like that with this. I felt like I was being taught. They were there to teach. They were there to help. Let me guide you through. And I felt like this is different, right? And not that it was just different, it felt warm. It felt like a warm welcome. Like, come in, kick your shoes off. Here, you want something to drink? Here, man, take a seat. Kick your feet up, relax. It felt like that. It was amazing. I truly thought I was going to get flamed, but instead I got welcomed. When you think about the loyalty, yeah, the band is good, right? But that's not all of it. There's a sense of connection there that's a little deeper than it just being music. When I talk to friends who, especially in metal, who younger or older, being looked at as outcast, help you find your people. You'll find your tribe when it gets scarce, right? When the big thing is going down and people scurry to one corner and another corner, you start to find your tribe. Who went with who? Right? I can't imagine 1970 Black Sabbath album dropped, kids bringing that home from all over, and then parents hearing them songs and looking at that cover and hearing the music saying, "Get that crap out of my house," and then you run outside, act like you're going to throw it away. You tell your friend about it, y'all listen on the low, and then y'all form your own thing. You become fans in that moment. And then the understanding is universally understood that this is going to be ours and it ain't for nobody else. Right? I remember at school when the quote unquote goth crowd, because we didn't understand what nobody was and what the identity was, so we just called them goth kids, and they stayed to themselves and they did on the side or in the back of school, or they hung out. They rocked out to each other. They talked to one another. They ate lunch together. They laughed. They did that because everybody else was cruel to them. Probably joking them in joking in class, joking in lunch, made them feel like they had to separate themselves because they dressed like this, so they listen to this music. Everybody's human, just like us, but they found their tribe. And in that kind of moment, you know what you've been through. So there's an understanding in like the struggle and like going through that. Just because my mom says I worship the devil because I listen to Black Sabbath, which is insanity. Or my mom, or my parents or my church looked at me funny because I liked this group, right? Because I listened to Metallica, I must be on my way to hell. Or because I listen to metal, I'm a bad kid. Or if I listen to metal, I'm racist. All these things people are putting on you because of a genre of music. So what happens? You find your people. And when you find your people, it's a different kind of growth there. You grow in struggle, you grow in strife, you grow in these walls and these boundaries you start to make for yourselves, you make it for you and your crew. And that's how you become so loyal. So what happens is when you see another person walking and they got a Slipknot shirt on who happen to be your favorite group, you see a family member. When I'm walking down the street and I see somebody with a corn shirt or a corn beanie on or something like that, oh, they must be like me. They understand. There's a thing understood here that the average person probably won't know because metal, in so many words, still isn't globally accepted by like the mass popularity, whatever. So we bond in that. And it's ill because these are things I'm just learning being a couple of months in. I'm talking to friends, and this is what happened to so many of their lives. This happened to so many people. And no, it's everybody didn't have like bad experiences or like bullying experiences or like all these things. No, they didn't. But there was a shared kind of loyalty in a music that wasn't accepted on the overall scale, which makes it seem like it's wrong. And I think it's messed up, but also I feel good that they found their people. I feel great about it. So when someone sees me with my Iron Maiden shirt or my Metallica shirt or however, there's the understanding there, right? The understanding for here's the difference. I didn't live that life for back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I found these groups because I wouldn't listen to metal then. But as I'm learning today, I'm going fully in with sympathizing with someone who has been through something like that. Because oppression of any kind is insane. So I can get behind somebody that's with somebody that's against something because it's something I'm with. I know what it was like when I was playing when I first got Snoop Dogg record and what my mama thought about that album. When I first was playing Public Enemy at school and the teacher snatched my headphones away and said, get that out of here. Right? So it's just differences but similarities. Kind of crazy when you think about it. You know, I recently did a video about imposter syndrome and feeling like I didn't belong here, and also feeling like I didn't know enough. And are they making fun of me on the low? Have I become a caricature of myself with this thing because it's working? Not that I did anything different, you know. And that's the trick your brain plays on you. I think the cool part is that with all that happened to me in real time, that the community also wrapped their arms around me and embraced me and assured me that you're here to stay and you're welcome. I thought that was dope. I thought it was real. I thought instead of laughing at me, they loved me. And it feels good to be accepted in that kind of way because I'm very open with how I think and what I feel. I try to be vulnerable because hell, you can only try to hurt me with my own words, but it is what it is. That's my life. You know what I mean? So when I do tell something like that about things I don't know or something I'm learning about, and someone wants to help me, someone wants to show me the way, someone wants to assist, I think it's a beautiful thing. And this community here has been completely like helping me in this. I have friends making me metal lists with different subgenres to show me who made what and who's in what category, and people doing all kinds of stuff helping me move this along because they believe in what I've been doing here. And I'm talking about new friends, people I would consider friends. Been supporting me like no other. So, like, when you see the difference, when I talk about the difference between metal fans and any other fans, I haven't seen that type of support from others. I just haven't. I'm not saying it don't exist. I'm not saying it isn't real for somebody or a genre or a certain group. I just haven't seen it, and I definitely ain't felt it like that. That's a no. You see, metal wasn't always mainstream, and I think fans bonded over that. The fact that it wasn't so mainstream. These were people who didn't feel mainstream themselves. And like I know, shared identity creates loyalty, right? It's like my block versus your block, right? Your high school versus my high school. You can pretty much agree with that. It was really like underground hip hop in a sense. Like we're both coming from this most likely poverty, don't have much coming up. You're creating something out of nothing, being into arts, being creatives. You create a sound derived from other sounds that have existed, and then the most likely the youth at the time kind of surround this, and they get it first. They understand. They know what's moving forward, like hip hop did. That's why I relate in such a way with metal and hip hop. Maybe this is all in my head. Maybe I'm just these are my experiences, and maybe I got it all wrong. Um, so to you, the fan, the metal fan, the metal community, I ask, what is it that makes you loyal to metal? What band have you been riding with for decades? Who can't you let go of? Who you love like you did when you first heard it? What album was it that changed your life? What song was it to change your life? I'd really like to know because those answers are what makes metal super cool. Gotta love that. To all my peoples, I appreciate you. Thank you to the community of metal once again. Thank you. Y'all kick ass every time. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. Straight up, rock on.